Hello guys, in today's video we are going to discuss the custodial death and the associated UN treaty, that is UN Convention Against Torture. This is a union treaty which prohibits the torture and custodial deaths, and we will also discuss the recommendation given by the Law Commission in the form of Anti-Torture Bill in 2017 which prevents the custodial deaths. The custodial deaths are in news because of the recent lockup death of a father-son duo in Thoothukudi district of Tamil Nadu in Sathankulam police station. So that has opened the Pandora box of custodial death and the police reforms. So we already discussed why custodial deaths takes place and what are all the causes of the custodial deaths and how to curtail the custodial deaths and the reform needed in the previous video, and we have discussed that in detail for the mains point of view. In this video we will be discussing the UN Convention Against Torture and draft anti-torture bill with respect to prelims point of view. So this area can be asked in a prelims question also. We'll discuss that in the prelims point of view in the upcoming video. See the previous video if you haven't seen. Link for that video is given in the description link. So the Convention Against Torture or other cruel, inhuman, degrading treatment or punishment, commonly known as United Nations Convention Against Torture or UNCAT. So they used to call it as UNCAT. So it is an international human rights treaty under United Nations that aims to prevent torture and other cruel, inhuman, degrading treatment or punishment. So it prevents any form of cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment by the police or government authority. Okay, it is a human rights related treaty of United Nations which prevents the torture by the government authorities on the citizens. So that is the one aim of this convention. This convention requires that whoever signs and ratifies the convention, that nation should prevent torture in any territory under their jurisdiction, forbid the state to transport the. So this is a very important point. Okay, if any nation signs the treaty, they should not do extradition of a criminal to the nation who haven't signed. Like for example, let us take this 2611 case. This main accused of the 2611 case is David Headley. David Headley is a Pakistani origin American. He is in Pakistan. He is in America. He is a Pakistan origin American, Pakistani American. He is in America and he is functioning. So it is clearly known that this David Headley only planned and committed this 2611 attack. So, but what is happening? USA government is investigating this and USA government has punished him. But when Indian government asked the USA government to extradite David Headley to India so that he is punished within the Indian law also, US government denied it. And also many US government is denying the extradition of Nirav Modi or Vijay Mallya because India has not ratified the torture law. If India has not ratified the torture law, according to this treaty, it forbids the state to transport people to any country where there is a reason to believe that they will be tortured. If this David Headley comes to India, there is all possibility that Indian police might torture him or they might ill-treat and provide cruel treatment because he was a terrorist. So since such torture is possible against the accused here, this government, USA government has signed the treaty and UK also signed the treaty. That's why they are fearing to extradite them, such accused, to the nation who haven't signed the treaty. So if a nation is not signing the treaty, if at all they want to prosecute an accused abroad, that particular nation will not send that accused to India, like Vijay Mallya or Nirav Modi or David Headley, because they might be tortured in India. So in order, ratifying this treaty will also help India to extradite such accused. So extradition process it will be helping. So that is one advantage of ratifying this treaty. It came into force in June 26, 1987. So only 3 days back only the anniversary went, I think. And this June 26 also recognized as International Day for Support of Victims and Torture. So this June 26, which went 3 days back, it is also day for International Day for Support of Victims and Torture because this convention came into force on that day. Okay. So as of 2020, 170 states have signed it. Even though 170 states have signed it, not all have ratified it. For India also has signed it, but India hasn't ratified it. So only after ratification means in Parliament should pass it. So if India is signing the treaty means it is just signing. Ratification means that treaty should be accepted by the Parliament also. Still our Parliament didn't accept it. So that's why this convention does not apply to India. So under this UN Convention Against Torture, there is an optional protocol. This optional protocol means those members who have ratified the UN Convention Against Torture, if they want, they can sign this protocol also. This protocol provides for a monitoring mechanism, that is monitoring or surveillance mechanism for the implementation, whether the convention is implemented in a proper way or not. This optional protocol of convention against torture was adopted by General Assembly in 2002, but it came into force only in 2006. It provides for a system of regular visits undertaken by independent international and national bodies. That is, it allows for inspection. Like when we were seeing in the custodial deaths in previous video, we saw that every now and then a group of inspectors should come and do the regular inspection in prisons and police station, whether everything is going fine or not, whether the conditions are given in a humane way or not. So like that, at international level, they are creating a body, they are creating an authority which is going to do the inspection. So this authority can enter into any nation and they can inspect any facility of any nation. Like that is, this authority will enter into a prison of any nation. They can enter into a detention center of any nation and they can check whether this UN Convention Against Torture is being implemented in a proper way or not. It is like IAEA, like how we are having this International Atomic Energy Agency IAEA, which inspects for atomic energy plants. This is another inspection agency which is provided under optional protocol of the convention. A system of regular visits is undertaken by independent international and national body to the places where people are deprived of liberty in order to prevent torture or other cruel or inhuman. So torture, cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment. Okay. So it is to be overseen by a subcommittee on prevention of torture. So that they have created a subcommittee called Committee Against Torture. So this is called as CAT. This CAT is a body which is created against the optional protocol. So under optional protocol only we are creating this body called CAT. It is a body of human rights experts and they will only monitor it and implement it. So they will only conduct inspection. So inspection is done by them, and if at all a nation is ratifying this United Nations Convention Against Torture, they have to submit the regular report to this body. Okay, they have to submit the regular report of how well they are implementing this convention to this body for every 4 years. If a new body joins, they have to submit the report by 1 year. After that, for every 4 years, regularly they will be submitting how the convention is being implemented in their particular nation. Okay, so that is the role of this Committee Against Torture. It is a body created against the protocol. As of 2016, there are 76 signatories to this. We saw this for this convention there is roughly 170 ratification in the previous slide, but for this there is only 76 signatories who have signed the additional protocol. So in 2017, Law Commission submitted a report. Okay, Law Commission submitted a report on implementation of this convention. So what Law Commission said, why India should implement this convention and why India should sign this convention. On this topic, Law Commission gave a report in 2017. So let us see about that also. It might be helpful in the mains while writing the answer. Law Commission of India under Justice B.S. Chavan submitted the report on implementation of United Nations Convention Against Torture and other cruel, inhuman, degrading punishment through legislation to Ministry of Law and Justice. So what is the objective of the convention? So what it says that the convention seeks to ensure that countries put into place various institutional mechanisms. So every country, whoever is signing the convention, any country if they sign this convention, they should bring in some institutional mechanism to prevent the torture. That is, there should be a law. Legislative means anti-torture bill should be brought. Administrative means there should be some body to check the torture. Again, judicial provision, CRPC should be amended and measure to prevent the torture. Ensure that torture is a criminal offence. So torture should be made a criminal offence and the police should not be indemnified. In order to meet this obligation, Commission recommended that Criminal Procedure Code 1973 and Indian Evidence Act should be amended. And also, Law Commission in 2017 provided this draft Prevention of Torture Bill. This bill is still existing as a draft and it never came into power. So that's why we have to check it. So this draft Prevention of Torture Bill was brought in 2017, which defines that which act should constitute a torture. Okay, so let us see about the bill. What is mentioned in the draft bill? Let us check the provisions of the draft anti-torture bill. This draft anti-torture bill says that the commission, so in order to extradition of the criminals from the abroad, we have to sign it. Only if we sign it, we can do the extradition of criminals from abroad. Okay, that is what the first thing. This is because the convention prevents extradition to a country where there is a danger of torture. So that's why we have to ratify it. This is the first provision which the bill says. We have to ratify it and then only we can extradite the criminals. This bill also defined the term called torture. The word called torture is defined under the bill based on the definition provided by United Nations Convention Against Torture. So based on this convention, we have defined what the torture means. So according to the commission, according to the bill, any public servant or individual authorized by him indulges in the act of torture. So what is torture? If that particular person, if they inflict on any other person grievous hurt. If one official inflicts a grievous hurt on another official, so grievous hurt means it is an injury, then it is a torture. Or danger to life. So danger to life, life-threatening attack, or limb or health. So in general, health or to hand or legs, any other thing is called as torture. Severe physical or mental pain. So torture is not only physical but also mental. Mental torture is also part of the torture only. If a particular police officer harasses or blackmails, so that is also considered to be torture, because mental pressure is also considered to be torture. Death, of course, if there is if the torture results in the death, that is also considered to be torture. So this torture was officially defined. If any public servant commits this, he or she will be punished. So that is the first provision of the bill. Okay, so what is the punishment? This bill also provides that any person accused of such torture will be imprisoned for 10 years. So this has also been provided in the bill. This 10 years punishment is given inherently in the bill. In case the torture leads to death, the punishment includes, so if the public servant is accused only of the torture, then the imprisonment is only for 10 years. But if the torture leads to death, then even death penalty can be given to the police official, whoever is committing this torture. So they are giving the death or life imprisonment in case of custodial death. Protection of individuals. How the bill is protecting the individuals from torture. The draft prevention bill for the torture makes that state government is responsible for protection of this individual. So if at all a victim, like for example, police tortures a particular person, that person went and complains to the government regarding this torture. Let us consider that there is a police complaint authority. A person goes to police complaint authority and complains about a police official. So if at all a person is going and complaining, this victim should be protected, because he is complaining against another policeman. This particular policeman can torture him further. They can come and harass him further. They will be doing something. If such thing is happening, we should protect him. So who is responsible to protect him? State government is responsible. State government will provide such protection whenever if a person is giving any complaint. So it is a responsibility of state government. State government will be giving him the personal protection. What is the compensation? So whenever such a victim of torture comes, that victim should be provided compensation. Like for example, government announced some 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs for the family, and DMK also announced 25 lakhs. So likewise, compensation should be provided for the person of torture. Then custodial injury. The commission recommended that Indian Evidence Act should be amended to ensure that in a case a person sustains injury in the police custody. If a person is just having any injury, see, if an accused is having injury in the police custody, it means that injury is created by police, and it is the duty of the police to prove it, whether they did or not. The burden of proof shall lie with the police authority to explain such injury. If a person is accused and he is taken to police station, and if he gets injured, means if any injury take place, it is considered that it is injury is caused by police only. So always the onus is on the police. Now police should come and prove that whether that injury is because of police torture or because of some other reason. If that accused go and falls and if his leg is fractured because of he falling from a compound wall, that will also be considered as a torture only, because so such provisions will protect the victims. So custodial injury provision is a one strong provision. And sovereign immunity. Sovereign immunity means state cannot be prosecuted. If a police inspector or a DSP is committing a crime, we cannot start a case against them. So that is the sovereign immunity or indemnity provided. But in Nagendra Rao case in 1994, Supreme Court said that there is no sovereign immunity for the government. Even government can be punished, government can be questioned for any issues. So already we know we are having this Article 32 and 226. Under Article 32 and 226, we can go and file a writ against any of this. We know that even without all this torture will or anything, with this writ in Article 32 and 226, we can file a writ in the Supreme Court or High Court against the police officials. But again, if that is the case which is happening, sometimes the Supreme Court or High Court can deny the writ. They can tell that there is a false claims, and sometimes the accessibility of justice to High Court and Supreme Court is very costly for the poor persons. So this only cannot be the remedy. That's why we need a state police complaints authority. Why we need police complaints authority? Because everyone cannot go and afford this Article 32 and 226 to file the writ. So that's why we need to have this police complaint authority to take care at the state level and district level. So guys, we have come to the end of the video. We discussed the UN Convention Against Torture and the draft anti-torture bill, which was recommended by the Law Commission to prevent the tortures and the custodial deaths. So see the previous video also where we discussed about the custodial deaths in detail with the mains point of view. So thank you guys, stay home and stay safe.